Reverse hypers are one of the best lower body accessories of all time. If your gym has a machine yet you're not using it, to me, that's criminal. Because if you get strong at this time-proven, legendary exercise invented by Louis Simmons, your entire posterior chain will greatly thicken, not to mention bulletproofing your lower back. So if you have injuries right now or want to reduce them in the future, this will do for you because you have a restoration and strength builder simultaneously. Every rep you do, the sacrum is rotating. You're creating traction, opening up those discs, pumping all kinds of spinal fluid, creating circulation, rounding and extending, strengthening the spinal erectors, getting that column titanium action, which not only looks cool, but will have you feeling amazing. So that's why when I used to go to the gym, even if I wasn't training legs for that day, I would still hit reverse hyper. So how about I expand more on this and give you some simple programming advice. First, it is strongly recommended that on any lower body workout, you do 4 times the volume of your squat on reverse hypers, which might seem complicated and you might not want to do math, but put this in perspective. If you can do 225 for 3 sets of 10, which is entirely realistic for most of you, that equates to 6,750 pounds of workload. Now, if you do that times 4, it's 27,000 pounds of work. Okay, seems like a lot. How are you going to accumulate that on a simple accessory lift? Well, the thing is, I'm not talking about matching the intensity, doing hard sets of 10. No. What's most common is 3 sets of 33, 4 sets of 25, 5 sets of 20, high repetition pumping. So as a result, even if you do 3 sets of 33 with 3 plates per side, again, very comparable to the squat example that I listed, strength-wise, that equates to 26,730 pounds of work. So only a little bit less, and you can always account by doing slightly more repetitions on the final set. So the workload doesn't have to be exact, but this is the correct volume guideline for maximizing restoration. Now, to maximize range of motion, I recommend looking down at your feet in the bottom with some upper back rounding. And as you extend those legs back, do the same with your neck and spine. You want flexion and extension. This is where you're fully lengthening and shortening the spinal erectors. This provides the best mind-muscle connection with a consistent flow between reps. That said, if you're doing reverse hypers for rehab and prehab purposes, in other words, it's not a muscle building exercise for that day. You're employing a higher frequency approach, maybe doing them on your off days if you have a home gym, or when you go to the gym to hit other muscles, you're gonna hit reverse hypers whenever you so choose. So that can be before the workout or immediately after. Then percentage wise, you wanna be in the 20 to 35% zone while being far away from failure. Mechanical tension is not really taking place, but you're opening up those discs, which can also be termed active recovery. Similar to me recommending band pushdowns for high repetitions on your off days. And for this, I would do it 2 to 4 times a week tops, or technically every day, but you're gonna have to stick to the lowest percentage possible. And here, you want the swinging to be as aggressive as possible. Minimize that muscle tension, just get the movement pattern in without keeping everything so tight. Next, when you dedicate enough time with reverse hypers, it's not uncommon to max out your machine. At the gym, this could be the whole stack. You finalize that selector. Or maybe the sleeves are shorter, so you can only put on 4 plates aside. There is a weight cap. Now, of course, you can milk the high repetitions as much as possible, doing reps of 30 to 50 to failure, but that's not efficient, and truth be told, isn't equated hypertrophy-wise if we look at the evidence. You have to be in the 5 to 30 rep range. And so if you're beyond that point, not only in terms of absolute low, but even the freaking rep ranges, what do you do? Well, an easy fix is switching to 1 leg at a time. Boom! Now you can reduce the weight by around 50% and continue making progress for months or even years, depending how strong you are and how heavy that reverse hyper went to begin with. Certainly the ones with longer sleeves, you're good forever. But if you have the West Side Scout Hyper like myself, eventually you'll max that out as well, but it's gonna take some time is all I'm trying to say. So the benefit here is it's slightly more glute biased. You do get a better squeeze since you can twist your body at a slight angle. And if you have any imbalances in your posterior chain, this will seek to correct it in the long term. So if you notice that when doing other unilateral exercises like lunges and Bulgarian split squats, one side is stronger than the other, this will greatly help with that. Specifically for the glute bias variations. It's honest in the sense that you're maximally stable. There's no balance component. You're leaning forward on the pads, maximum force production. All you gotta do is drive that leg back similar to a glute kickback. Oh, and if you have scoliosis, this could be potentially helpful. I'm not a medical professional. Please see the disclaimer in the description box. But because there's traction on that one weaker side, I wouldn't be surprised if this provides further reinforcement. And in general, if you have imbalances caused by Jefferson deadlifts, I certainly dealt with this problem, or maybe one-arm pull-ups, any back exercise in which there was a twisting component and now you're slightly uneven to the side, doing reverse hypers one leg at a time will seek to correct that, in my opinion. Next, if for whatever reason you dislike one-legged reverse hypers or you want to go heavier on the bilateral version, there is yet another solution for you, which is including band tension. Here, you would take anywhere between a micro mini and a monster mini band, double it, and attach it to the bridging segment of the reverse hyper, the bottom, to the strap itself where you put your feet in. And what you'll find is, as you go through the range of motion, the bands will stretch about this much, and you will have crazy peak tension at the top. Not to mention some overspeed eccentrics, which further bulletproofs the lower back. This is what we do for the connective tissue. It's what I prescribe for other exercises. Now you're doing it on something that was already goated to begin with. It's the next level. And you're getting more difficulty. Progression becomes unlimited. And actually, this used to be one of my DIY methods before I bought the reverse hyper, which if you want to get your own, check out Bells of Steel. They have the reverse hyper and glute ham raise combined. So you get two machines in one. But going back to band tension, yes, you are changing the strength curve a bit, but let's keep it real. It doesn't matter because the reverse hyper features a pendulum effect. Given the inertia, the weights are moving back and forth. Come on. The length of position was not biased to begin with. Don't you dare tell me that it was. Everyone knows that it's when your legs are past the midpoint, around here to here, where you're getting most of the tension. The rest, yeah, there's some passive tension you can argue. Like, you can try to control the negative. Like, you're not completely swinging, but it was always the top to begin with. So if you're including a band that isn't even going to stretch that much in the bottom, but towards the end, then that perfectly accommodates the machine. So it's only beneficial. It does not compromise what you've been doing up until this point. So if you get stronger with the bands, let's say you got 90 pounds of tension on there, and then one day you switch to a different machine that allows you to put 90 pounds of actual free weight, you'll find that you're able to lift that. And that's my bold claim here. The strength gains are 1-to-1. And the truth is, a little bit of band tension goes a long way. Like, I don't see most of you hitting the lights, which are the green bands. Because if you max out a typical reverse hyper being 360 to 400 pounds, which is already a lot of weight to begin with, and then you throw in 100 pounds of band tension, like 500 pounds total is pretty good for an accessory lift. And if you do it one leg at a time, again, is there really much for me to say about this? Just do it. So those are the main takeaways of reverse hypers. A bonus point I could throw in is to incorporate tempo work once in a while, which is easier said than done because there's a natural tendency to swing on this exercise, but you certainly can control a little bit. Like, don't let the weight control you. Hold at the top, allow for a minor squeeze. It can even be half a second. But don't flap around like a walrus trying to get the most out of what's on that machine. You want to make the exercise as hard as possible within reason. Obviously, you get past a certain number, it becomes unrealistic. But if you're doing 2 to 3 plates on reverse hyper, it doesn't have to be swung to the greatest extent. So if you throw in a controlled variation, which is best done at the gym, not the strap, in my experience, then that's another way to build muscle. And the best part is you'll be in a low rep range this time. 12 to 20 tops, using 1/3 of your regular weight. So I'm not going to provide exact tempos here, but what I will say is refrain from exploding the concentric. Try to move as slow as possible, as weird as that may sound. Like, it's completely contrary to what everyone does, but this is another method. So you take your time on the way up. You probably won't go as high either. Squeeze, and then try to lower under control. You'll even find that the weight doesn't quite come even with your eyes when you're looking down. So it's more of a partial in the bottom. You're just going for that squeeze. Give it a shot. See if you like it. All right, that's it for reverse hypers. Now let's talk about other motions that can be done on this machine. The first being neck extensions. This may just be one of the best variations of all time for one simple reason. You're getting yoked without hurting recovery. In fact, there is a traction component on the cervical discs, which is crazy because we've only done this on the lower portion. But the spine is long and has different divisions. So if we accept the fact that you're pulling on the discs in the bottom when you do a reverse hyper because of that pendulum effect, why would that then not apply to the upper portion? Of course it does. And here, you're leaning, attach your neck harness with a daisy chain to the strap itself, and you'll find that the same thing is happening at the bottom. The weight is coming back when you're down, and then when you extend, it's coming forward. And no, it won't hit you in the face. So neck training by itself won't be hard on recovery, nor affect your squats and deadlifts and other axial loaded motions. Then there's two other serious benefits. The first is the fact that we're leaning on the reverse hyper, which maximizes force production since we have many points of contact, and our torso is horizontal. How else are you supposed to do this? Like, you would have to take a flat bench, prop it up on some plyometric boxes, or lay down the steel row bench if your gym even has that. You know the sensation you got with those plate neck extensions? But eventually it became awkward because of the size. You had to switch over to the neck harness version standing up. Well, you're getting that same sensation plus traction. So the resistance profile is simply superior. At the top, you get a maximum contraction, and then at the bottom, because the weight is coming back a bit, there's still tension there. So you have that perfect circular effect, and it's way stricter. You cannot cheat by using leg drive and manipulating your torso angle. So it is strict, gets more out of less weight, and easiest on long-term recovery. What's there not to love? Even if it looks weird, I strongly recommend you give it a shot. And of course, I'm using the neck flex here. Now for legs, and this is going to apply to my home gym guys. If you want to hit your quads in the shortened position, the best way is with leg extensions, which reverse hypers allow you to do. You sit on top of the machine, put your foot through the strap, and extend. Now it's going to be one leg at a time for a proper alignment. If you put two in, you might get some knee pain, but if you sit on the side, make sure that your leg is straight with the direction of the strap, you're going to get a similar contraction. Now, the only thing here is you got to be careful with the swinging. There's a tendency to aggressively kick and let the weight just fall down as opposed to controlling it, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, provided that you're going to failure. And naturally, as you get more tired, that's going to slow down. But if possible, maintain some control, which you're not really seeing in these clips, but I do advise this. So this is great for blending your program. Let's say you do legs twice a week. Maybe Monday, you hit sissy squats for the lengthened position of the rec fem. And then Thursday, you do the leg extensions on the reverse hyper to hit the shortened position. This way, you're always getting that effect, but with different resistance profiles. Alternatively, if you don't like sissy squats, then just do these exclusively and you'll be good to go. But again, it's not like the actual machine where you can do length and partial. So the squeeze is number one on this exercise. Lastly, if you want to remove the reversal component of a reverse hyper, then you can do that with this machine. Simply bring it in your power rack, set a barbell to be slightly above it by around this much, lay down flat, facing the opposite direction, anchor your feet on that barbell, and get to work. This is a 90-degree back extension. So there's a 45 and a 90. There's a 90. Very common with Olympic weightlifters and even Dorian Yates. What's great here is you don't have to go heavy at all. And I recommend putting the bar on your neck just to maintain strictness. Those technically not necessary. As long as you keep the bar right out in front of you, you'll be okay. But it's really when you drift it back towards the hips where it becomes easier. So as long as you're doing it correctly, Anywhere between 95 and 135 pounds for reps is serious work. Like anyone who could do this is made out of freaking titanium. And I think Dmitry Klokov was between 155 and 185 on this exercise. I can't exactly remember, but all this to say, there's no chance that you're gonna have a bunch of plates hanging off. Not happening, which is great from a stimulus to fatigue standpoint. So in the bottom, your torso is like this. Nothing's really going on with gravity. And as you raise that 90-degree angle, that's when the direction of resistance is met. So it's really the top where the peak forces are realized. So it's safe, you'll be weaker. And if you wanna round and extend, be my guest. So that's it, guys. These are all the ways you can use a reverse hyperextension machine. It's a genuine life changer. I hope you make use of it. And let me know if you have other secret tips that you'd like to share. Let me know. And I'll talk to you all next time.